Americans are fed up at a number of levels these days, and rightly so. When it comes to politics, there are those who believe nothing works better than electing a Republican, others who swear by their Democratic allegiances. But more often than not, America is seeking a third party, or no party at all. Welcome back to MidPoint. The president and founder of M Network Branding and Strategy, Thomas Mozloom, who is now going to create a problem as we continue in our discussion, as he always does. How you doing, Thom?
I'm well, Ed. How are you?
Good. I just had to go ahead and just drop that in there just in case, because we do want to let people know.
Should we get an apology out of the way, too? Is that what we're doing?
No. Let's not do that. We're always doing the apology. Let's just move ahead. I don't think we'll have to apologize here today. But it is interesting to see a Pew Center study come out, and it basically points out, if you read through everything, it'll tell you that more people than ever before are now saying that we're independent. 39% of American voters consider themselves independent. That's the highest proportion in 75 years. Now, doesn't this tell us basically, if we look at the numbers, that they're just tired of Republicans and Democrats to begin with and want something new?
Well, I think the first part of your statement is absolutely correct. You could tell by the numbers that people are sort of fed up, and they're identifying, irrespective of how they're registered, they are identifying as independent. What's interesting about the study is that while more people are identifying as independent, the swing voter gap is actually getting smaller and smaller. So the number of people who are undecided about who they're going to vote for ahead of election is still in single digits, even though the number of people who are saying, hey, I could go either way well ahead of time is at 40% now.
Does it tell us anything about trust in voters or trust in a party, or perhaps being shredded one way or another by some members of the media and certain people who just take things way too far to either side?
Sure. Well, it's no question that as time has gone on, political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, their messaging has grown more shrill, more divisive, has catered to the very far edges of both of those parties, and people are getting tired of that. Most voters are centrists. They're center-left, they're center-right, and that's where their ideologies live. But in order to get a wider swath and have the more impassioned message and stick out from the crowd in how they're branding themselves, each party has driven all the way to the one side or to the other, and that's turned off voters. I mean, it's been really polarizing, and the general public is saying, no more.
But what are we missing in this? And what I hear, and what you hear as well in all this, is people want a third-party candidate. That's what they clamor for. But at the end of the day, they all still vote on a partisan basis. It always comes back to partisanship, no matter what you say.
Well, we really don't have a good test case. If you look at all of the third-party candidates in recent times, in recent elections, say the last 20 years, they're always running to the outside of their party. So if you have a third-party Democrat, that third party is running to the left of the Democratic Party. Third-party conservative is running to the right of the Republican Party. We really have not seen the type of candidate be a centrist and try to pull from the center of the Democrats and the center of the Republicans. That said, I don't think you're going to see either party, the Republicans or the Democrats, play that type of Russian roulette with their base. They're not going to let a third party stand up to their side of the aisle. If somebody comes up and says, hey, I have some great ideas and I'm more conservative and that's why you should vote for me, the Republicans are going to go out of their way to enfold them and bring them into the tent because they don't want their voters being peeled off. If you divide one party, then the other party is obviously going to win. So this wouldn't require a third party. It would require a third and fourth party to actually be effective.
So there's room for third, fourths, or fifth parties, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to branding, it still is the money behind the brand that pushes people into a certain mold.
That's correct. And, we're not going to turn into Italy, right? Italy has 7,000 political parties, and anybody who has a mailing address can run for president. That's not how this country is set up. The money falls behind groups and individuals, and anybody who's putting money behind a race is looking for a return on that investment. So they're not going to invest in a third party that can't win. They're going to invest in a third party that can. And that's why we're sort of stuck in this two-party system, because the winners are Republicans or Democrats. And really, we haven't seen a third party come out and have the kind of support that those two parties can.
20 seconds. Do you see either party really changing their brand in light of this poll?
No, not at all.
Why? Just simply because it doesn't make monetary sense, or they don't need to?
That's exactly correct. They don't need to, because politics and politicians are inherently lazy when it comes to branding. This is who they are. They don't have to put a lot of thought about it, and they don't have to put a lot of money behind it. So why change? why spend the money if the results aren't going to be any different?
There you go. We called politicians inherently lazy. I knew we'd probably have to find something that we'd have to apologize for before the moment was out, and there it is. But well put. Thom Mozloom, always a pleasure to have you on the show, my friend. Take care. Talk to you soon. All right.
See ya.
Manipulating human DNA, controversial, but what if it could make cancer a thing of the past? That's next on MidPoint.